Yam Shri Guru Shiyata Barakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivishikam Vitam Sha Om Ajnana Timaranda Sha Gyanajana Shalakaya Chakshurun militam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gaurva Bhistam Supurkam Gurganara Sesha Sambhushitam Chintya Samasta Veda Nipanam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govinda Abhidam Ujwalam Varatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Mande Vishwagurun Shah Divyat Bhagavat Prem Navi Bijapradam Devam Divyatanam Suchandabaranam Balarka Chelanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyam Buddhim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Varam Bandetam Shubhanam Mareka Sharanam Nyashishvara Sridharam Mansha Kalpatarubhyas Chakripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Nama Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So reading from the Sri Chaitanya Bhagawat by Srila Vrindaban Das Thakur. This is Madhya-khanda chapter 9, the story of Sridhar. Sri Gaurachandra is the controller of the universe. However, not for his own sake, but for the benefit of everyone, he has accepted the garb of a sannyasi. All glory to the son of Jagannath Mishra and Mother Sachi, and all glory to his Sankirtan movement. All glories to Lord Chaitanya, the very life of Lord Nityananda and Gadadhar Pandit. He is the most beloved of Advaitacharya, Srivas Pandit, Jagannananda Pandit, Haridas Thakur, Bhakreshwara Pandit, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, Vasudeva, and Sri Garbha. Be merciful, O Lord, and look upon every living entity graciously. May the Lord and all his associates be glorified, for by hearing about the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, one immediately attains the supreme goal of devotion, love of Krishna. Please listen attentively to this narration of the Madhya-khanda because it depicts the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Hear now the description of Lord Chaitanya's Mahaprakash Leela, his great revelation, for this fulfills the desires of all Vaishnavas. The Lord manifested the glorious Shata Prahariya Bhav, the 21 hours of devotional ecstasies. In this pastime, he wonderfully revealed his different incarnations, his astonishing feasting, and freely gave away pure Krishna Prem to the devotees. All the Vaishnavas honored the Lord in a grand bathing ceremony known as Raja Rajeshvara, which is fit only for the most powerful kings of the universe. One day, Gaurasundar came to Srivas Pandit's house, accompanied by Nityananda, who was beside himself with joy. Gradually, all the Vaishnavas assembled there. Gaurasundar, who was engrossed internally, looked about himself just as a regal personality surveys his surroundings with intensely powerful glances. The devotees could perceive the Lord's mood, and immediately they started a loud kirtan. On previous days, the Lord would dance in the ecstasy of a devotee servant of the Supreme Lord. Then, changing that mood momentarily, he would reveal his identity as the omnipotent Supreme Lord. The mood would also quickly change. That mood would also quickly change. He would again revert to the mood of a devotee. However, today, to the good fortune of the assembled devotees, the Lord stood up as if to dance as usual, but then instead sat on the throne of Sri Vishnu. You see here, what we're hearing, especially from Vrindaban Das Thakur, as he's equating Mahaprabhu with Vishnu on most occasions, his emphasis is more on the aspect of the Aishvarya Gyan aspect of Mahaprabhu. And that's not to diminish Vrindaban Das's presentation, because it's been described by our acharyas as presenting Gaur Narayan, that aspect of the Lord. So here you can see, you can understand that when Vrindaban Das Thakur says that mood would also quickly change, he would again revert to the mood of a devotee. However, today, to the good fortune of the assembled devotees, the Lord stood up as if to dance as usual, but then instead sat on the throne of Sri Vishnu. On previous occasions, the Lord would sit on Sri Vishnu's throne, immersed in devotional ecstasy, as if unaware of his own conduct. Not so today. Today, he did not conceal his real identity with a cloak of his internal energy, but instead sat on the throne continuously for 21 hours. The devotees stood in front of him with folded hands and hearts effervescent with joy. It was a wonderful sight. The devotees were fully content. Spontaneously, they expressed, "We have entered Vaikuntha." The Lord sat amidst all, as the Lord of Vaikuntha, and everyone present became free from the influence of the material illusory potency. Lord Chaitanya instructed, "Sing the bathing song." The devotees were very pleased and began to sing. In time with the song, the Lord gently swayed his head from side to side and showered the devotees with merciful glances. Responding to the Lord's mood, the devotees performed the Abhishek bathing ceremony. First, the devotees brought water from the Ganga and strained it. Then, in the correct proportions, they added musk, sandalwood paste, saffron, and camphor. Feeling increasing love for the Lord, they carefully prepared all the items. When ready, with jubilant shouts, they began the ceremony and chanted the appropriate mantras. Lord Nityananda was the first to pour water upon the Lord's head. In great pleasure, he kept repeating, "Jai, Jai." Other leading devotees like Advaitacharya and Srivas Pandit bathed the Lord, chanting the famous Purusha Shukta prayers. The devotees of Lord Gauranga are very well versed in the scriptural sciences, and they poured the water to the accompaniment of suitable Vedic hymns and mantras. Mukund and others were sweetly singing the bathing ceremony song, while the other devotees wept and danced, overwhelmed with happiness. The respectable and chaste wives were ululating with joy. That's that moving the tongue from side to side. The Lord of Vaikuntha, Sri Gauranga, remained seated, and the devotees, one by one, poured water upon his head, bathing the Lord. Usually on such religious occasions, 108 pots of water are required, but today that number was far exceeded. Even the demigods arrived, not wanting to miss the opportunity to make spiritual progress, but they maintained a disguise, preferring not to be recognized. A drop of water offered to the Lord's lotus feet, even just in meditation, is sufficient to ward off the punishment given out by the god of death, Yamaraj. What then can be said about the good fortune of the devotees who, by being present, were able to bathe the Lord directly? All the servants and maidservants of Srivas Pandit's house also engaged in bringing water for the Lord. The wonderful result one enjoys from serving the Lord was amply proved by one incident. One of the maidservants, a pious woman named Duki, sat One of the maidservants, a pious woman named Duki, Sad, was one of the water carriers. The Lord saw her actively engaged and told her, bring more. The Lord was so impressed with her devotional attitude that he changed her name to Suki, happy, indicating he had taken away her distress. Having bathed the Lord, accompanied by the chanting of the Vedic mantras, the devotees dried his body. They dressed him in fresh new clothes and smeared his exquisite transcendental body with fragrant sandalwood paste. They cleaned Lord Vishnu's throne, and after everything was arranged properly, the Lord sat there upon that throne, which was truly his. Lord Nityananda held the umbrella over the Lord's head, while one of the more fortunate devotees began to whisk the Lord with the chamara. The devotees assembled the paraphernalia for worship of the Lord and began to offer arti, worship to him. Their tray of offering was packed with charanamrita, fruits, achamaniya, incense, fragrant oil, lamp, new clothes, and a Brahman thread, etc. As customary, they worshipped him with the 16 ingredients specified in the Shastra. Applying sandalwood paste to tulsi manjaris, they offered them at his lotus feet. The Gopal mantra, consisting of 10 syllables, was chanted whilst worship was offered. All the rules of this particular worship were strictly followed as all the devotees offered their prayers to him. This is also being described in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Gaur Arti, which we sing in the evening. Advaitacharya and all the stalwart associates of the Lord fell before the Lord's feet like rods, offering full obeisances to him. All the devotees were experiencing deep spiritual love for the Supreme Lord, and tears cascaded down their cheeks, mingling and flowing like a river. They constantly chanted verses eulogizing the Lord. The Lord heard everything with great satisfaction. They prayed, "All glory to the Lord of the universe. Kindly direct your merciful glance upon this world, now ablaze with the threefold sufferings. All glory to the original cause of everything, the maintainer of everyone. You have advented to inaugurate the congregational chanting of the holy name and reestablish the Sanatana Dharma of the Vedas. You are the protector of the pious and the original supreme soul of all the 14 worlds. All glory to Lord Chaitanya, for he is the redeemer of the most fallen souls, an ocean of transcendental qualities, the supreme shelter of the meek and poor. All glory to Lord Chaitanya, who is Rajendra Nandana Krishna, who expands as Lord Vishnu and lies on the ocean of milk as Kshirodakshay Vishnu. He appears as an incarnation for the pleasure of his devotees. All glory to Lord Gauranga, who is the original, inconceivable, imperceptible absolute. He is ever transcendentally situated, the all-compassionate, supreme person. All glory to Sri Chaitanya, who was born in a family of Brahmins as the crest jewel of that caste and liberates the entire Brahmin population. He is the origin of the Vedic religion, the life and soul of every living entity. All glory to Lord Chaitanya, who saved Arjuna from an inglorious death and gave liberation to the demoness Putana. All glory to Lord Chaitanya, who never sees the faults of the living entities. He is the husband of the goddess of fortune. With such choice words, the devotees praised the Lord. The Lord's servitors were drowning in an ocean of bliss, seeing Lord Chaitanya manifest this extraordinary mood. The Lord mercifully removed the veil of Maya from everyone's heart and offered his lotus feet to be worshipped by his devoted servitors. Some devotees brought sweetly perfumed oil and smeared it on the Lord's lotus feet. Others worshipped him with offerings of tender tulsi leaves. More again came to offer precious gems, gold, and silver ornaments, and respectfully paid obeisances at his feet. Many valuable gifts were offered to the Lord, whilst blue and bright yellow silken clothes. Many valuable gifts were offered to the Lord, white, blue, and bright yellow silken clothes. A variety of precious metal containers were placed as offerings at the lotus feet of the Lord. The gifts were countless. As the household servants in Srivas Pandit's house, by dint of serving that pure Vaishnav, could now directly serve Lord Gaurachandra's lotus feet, which are desired by all the household servants. In Srivas Pandit's house, by dint of serving that pure Vaishnav, could now directly serve Lord Gaurachandra's lotus feet, which are desired by all. Even Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Lakshmi Devi aspired for such an opportunity. They offered many items of worship to the Lord without fear or hesitation, the Lord having removed the reverential mood. They brought unhusked rice, tulsi, durva grass, musk, saffron, camphor, and varieties of fruits, fragrant blossoms, and sandalwood, placing them all at his lotus feet. Each one worshipped according to the inclination of his heart, following the different rules of worship. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Lord of Vaikuntha, exhibited another of his extraordinary pastimes. He said to the devotees, "Bring something I want to eat," and held out his hand. Whatever the devotees offered, he consumed. The different Vaishnavas brought a variety of foodstuffs to eat: banana, mung dal, yogurt, sweet condensed milk, butter, and milk. They placed it all in the hands of the Lord, who undisturbed ate everything. Some of the devotees hurried to the market and rushed back with the choicest of articles. They offered the Lord coconuts, a variety of milk sweets in huge quantities, blackberries, green melons, and sugar cane. Some even brought water from the Ganga. The Lord ate everything. Seeing the Lord was happily eating everything they offered, they presented generous helpings of more delicious. Seeing the Lord was happily eating everything they offered, they presented generous helpings of more delicacies many times over. Hundreds of devotees gave gallons of Ganges water, and the Lord, who is the greatest of the mystics, drank it all. Hundreds of barrels of yogurt, sweet condensed milk, hundreds of bunches of bananas, huge amounts of mung dal, mountains of milk sweet preparations, camphor, betel, fruits, and nuts were instantly consumed by the Lord in front of the amazed and gaping devotees. The Lord contentedly ate everything offered to him, and one by one revealed the details of the pastimes of the various devotees. When the devotees heard their individual stories, they remembered their earlier days and fell to the ground in ecstasy. The Lord addressed Srivas Pandit. "Do you remember you used to hear lectures on the Srimad Bhagavatam at Devananda Pandit's house? Every line in the Bhagavatam is saturated with the divine nectar of Krishna Prema, so your heart melted upon hearing those recitations of the Bhagavatam. You cried loudly and fell unconscious to the ground. The neophyte and ignorant students, not knowledgeable in the matters of Bhakti Yoga, could not understand the reason for your extraordinary behavior." So you cried loudly and fell unconscious to the ground. neophytes, devotees couldn't understand. You were so engrossed within yourself in the ecstasy of love of Krishna, oblivious to the external words, that you did not even know that they had carried you outside. Devananda Pandit, their teacher, witnessed the entire happening without dissuading his students, since he himself was inexperienced in the science of Krishna consciousness. It is to be expected that his students were the same. Upon waking and finding yourself outside in the street, you picked yourself up and returned home feeling sad. Your sadness persisted, and so you preferred to be alone. Nevertheless, you constantly desired to read the Bhagavatam again and again. Sing your sorrowful state. I descended from Vaikuntha into your heart and made you weep with the ecstatic emotions of your love for me. You experienced happiness again by reading the Bhagavatam, and your tears submerged the place where you sat. When Srivas Pandit heard this, he was overcome with emotions and fell to the ground crying and drooling, breathing fast and heavily. In this way, the Lord spoke to Advaitacharya Prabhu and different devotees and brought back to them a recollection of the earlier days. He submerged the devotees in an ocean of bliss while he sat on his throne chewing betel leaf. The devotees danced and performed kirtan, singing Jai Sachi Nandana, all glories to the son of Mother Sachi. If perchance the devotee were absent, immediately the Lord would have him brought before him. He would put his hand out and say, "Give me something to eat." Whatever was offered to him, he would eat it completely. Then the Lord would say, "Do you remember that night I came to you as a doctor and sat next to your bed? I cured your fever." Upon hearing this from the Lord, the devotees would fall down, overwhelmed by uncontrollable spiritual emotions. Sing Gangadas, the Lord said, "Does your mind not recall that night when you were escaping from the Muslim king, fearing capture? Your whole family was accompanying you, and when you arrived at the ferry jetty, there were no boats. You were in a great dilemma. The night was turning to dawn, and still no boats were in sight. You began weeping in anxiety. You shuddered at the thought that the Muslims might molest your family in your presence, and so it was better to drown in the Ganges, you thought. At that moment, I appeared as a boatman rowing a boat towards you. Your spirits lifted, seeing the approaching boat. You spoke to me, the boatman, with affection, saying, "My dear brother, please take me across. I surrender my body, wealth, life, everything to you. I solely depend upon you. Here are a couple of rupees for your endeavor. Take me and my family to safety." Then I ferried you and your family across and returned to my eternal Vaikuntha abode. Gangadas was carried on the waves of blissful ecstasy by hearing the Lord. Such are the wonderful pastimes of Gaurasundar. The Lord continued, "Do you recall that incident? You were so worried, and I came to your rescue and brought you across." Gangadas, unable to contain himself further, fell to the ground and rolled about in ecstasy. Lord Chaitanya, the Lord of Vaikuntha, was sitting on his throne, his body covered with sandalwood paste and nicely decorated with fragrant flower garlands. One of his dear servants was fanning him. Another arranged his hair. Some others were preparing betel and offering it to him. Many more were dancing in ecstasy around him. The passing of the entire day and how the darkness of the night stole in went unnoticed. They suddenly realized that it was night. The devotees got busy lighting up the lamps, and offered them in worship at the lotus feet of the Lord. They began to perform kirtan, playing kartals, gongs, conch shells, mridanga drums, and stringed instruments. The Lord continued sitting in a benevolent mood, but remained silent in spite of the various activities of the devotees. Devotees offered different kinds of flowers at his lotus feet and prostrated themselves before him, saying, "O Lord, protect me." Some devotees prayed to the Lord with great humility. Others were singing loudly in praise of the Lord. Jubilant calls, shouts, and cries were the only sounds one could hear. During these moments, everyone in the assembly experienced such indescribable and wonderfully elated feelings that they felt immediately transported to Vaikuntha. In this way, the Lord exhibited a mood of supreme opulence whilst all the devotees stood encircling him with their hands folded in reverence. However, Gaurasundar behaved in a casual manner with his disciples, placing his lotus feet upon them. In this manner, he performed his transcendental pastimes. Being in his munificent mood, Gaurasundar was ready to disperse boons to his devotees as they surrounded him with folded hands. As he performed his pastime of 21 hours of ecstasy, the Lord showered his causeless mercy upon all. The Lord then ordered, "Go and bring Sridhar immediately. Let him see my opulence. He constantly thinks about me and separation. I want him to come right away. Go to the outskirts of town, sit there and listen for someone who is calling for me. Bring him here to me." The Vaishnavas rushed to fulfill the Lord's order and went in the direction of the residence of Sridhar. Now here's some stories about Sridhar, how he makes a living by selling kola, the trunk of the banana tree. He buys the whole kola trunk and sells it on after cutting it into short pieces. In a day, half of whatever is profit he spends in buying offerings from Mother Ganges. The other half he uses to maintain himself. This is the test of a true devotee of the Supreme Lord. Just like Yudhishthira Maharaj, Sridhar is a most honest and truthful person. He always quotes the correct price of his wares and never once wavers from it. Those customers who know this buy from him at whatever price he quotes. In this humble way, this great soul lives in Navadip, known to people only as the kola seller. However, his real self is unknown to all. He spends the entire night engrossed in chanting the holy name of Krishna, forgetting everything including sleep. His atheistic neighbors protest, saying, "We cannot sleep in the night." Sridhar's screaming shatters the eardrums. That poor vagabond cannot feel his body, and so now, in the night, he is kept awake by the pangs of hunger. Speaking in this manner, the atheistic neighbors are inviting sure doom for themselves, but unperturbed, Sridhar continues his spiritual activities and remains ever joyful. With overflowing love for Krishna, he loudly chants the holy name all night long. Looking for Sridhar, the devotees had covered only half the way to his house, but could already hear his loud chanting. Following the voice, they came to Sridhar's house. They said to him, "Please come with us, O Holy One, and meet Lord Chaitanya. We are greatly blessed being in your august presence." Hearing mention of Lord Chaitanya, Sridhar became overwhelmed with ecstatic feelings and fell unconscious to the ground. Quickly, the devotees picked him up and very slowly and gently led him to the Lord. Sri Chaitanya was extremely happy to see Sridhar and called aloud warm invitations to him, saying, "Come, come, you have amply worshipped me. Many lifetimes you have spent in my devotional service. In this life, you have rendered abundant devotional service. I have tasted your kola countless times. Many times I took different things from your hands. You have forgotten the many verbal exchanges we have had. When Lord Chaitanya was manifesting his pastimes as a scholar, he often acted in a bold and insolent manner. During this time, hiding his real identity, the Lord would daily enjoy Sridhar's company under the pretext of bargaining with him. He would go to his shop to purchase banana and plates, etc. Daily, the two would argue about the price for several hours, and finally the Lord would return with his purchases bought at half the actual price. The truthful Sridhar always quoted the correct price, but the Lord would pick out the goods himself and pay only half the actual price. This would excite Sridhar, who would jump up and try to take the goods back from the Lord. The Lord would then say, "Why, my dear brother Sridhar, you are a renounced person, but I think you are also very rich. If so, then why do you try to snatch away these things from my hand? Also, I am surprised that in all this time you do not know who I am." The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Chaitanya, would see no trace of anger on Sridhar's face, and so he would again snatch away the articles. Gaurasundar always looked so beautiful that he could captivate even the mind of Cupid. His fine forehead was decorated with radiant tilak marks. He wore his dhoti in a most attractive manner, tucking it in 3 different places. His earrings were nicely designed and slightly slanting. The Lord's temperamental eyes were both extremely agile and restless. The shining white Brahman thread went elegantly across his shoulder. Ananta Sage had accepted this very thin form of a Brahman thread to decorate the Lord. He would smile at Sridhar with cheery lips reddened from chewing betel, and then pick up the articles that were to be bought. Once Sridhar said to the Lord, "Listen, O Brahman, please forgive me this time. I am just your dog." The Lord replied, "I know you. You are very cunning. You have amassed much money by selling these banana plates." Then Sridhar spoke, "Are there not any other shops besides mine? Please purchase from them at a cheaper rate." Lord Chaitanya said, "I do not want to so easily abandon a steady supplier like you. Give me these plates and take the money for them." Sridhar was helpless against Vishwambar's charm, and so smiled at him, captivated by his extraordinary beauty. Vishwambar continued his harangue, being very pleased with his eternal associate and devotee Sridhar. Lord Chaitanya said, "Every day you buy offerings for Mother Ganga. Then why can you not sell me your things at a discount? I am the father of the Mother Ganga you worship daily. This truth I am revealing to you." Sridhar was shocked, and upon hearing this, covered his ears with his palms. He repeated Lord Vishnu's name, and seeing Vishwambar in an insolent mood, gave him the banana plates. In this way, the Lord bargained and fought with Sridhar every day. Sridhar thought of the boy as a very restless young Brahmin boy. Sridhar finally agreed. I give it to you. I will give you something free of cost. But then please leave me alone. What will I lose if I give away a piece of banana leaf, a banana flower, and a slice of banana root? Lord Chaitanya replied, Good, that is enough. Do not give any more. Daily the Lord enjoyed dishes prepared with Sridhar's gifts. The Lord loves to receive gifts from his devotees. He never asked for anything from a non-devotee. The Lord had desired to perform this pastime, so by his arrangement he had Sridhar sell cola. Who can understand these transcendental exchanges between the Supreme Lord and his devotee? No one can realize these supramundane activities without the blessings of the Lord. Here in this pastime, the Lord is reminding us of this fact. Then Lord Chaitanya said, O Sridhar, behold my beauty. Today I will bestow upon you the 8 mystic perfections. The great devotee Sridhar lifted up his head and saw that Vishwambar had changed his complexion and had become as dark as the bark of the tamil tree. He was holding a flute in his hands, and on his right side, on his right stood Lord Balaram. The entire scene was engulfed in a glowing radiance. He saw Lord Brahman, Lord Shiva approach their lordships, and while offering lotus and betel, they began to recite verses in praise of the Supreme Lord. Anantasay stood behind the Lord, his hood above the Lord's head, like an umbrella. Saintly personalities like Sanat Kumar, Narada, and Sukadev Goswami offered prayers to the Lord. All around, beautiful heavenly damsels with folded hands sang, glorifying the Lord. Sridhar Singh, this wonder of wonders, was so astounded that in the next moment, he slumped to the ground. The Lord called out Sridhar's name, asking him to rise. Sridhar, upon hearing the Lord's command, awoke from his swoon and stood up. Lord Chaitanya instructed Sridhar. Lord Chaitanya instructed Sridhar, Sridhar, say something in glorification of me. Sridhar then replied, Dear Lord, I am illiterate and foolish. What intelligence do I possess to glorify your lordship? However, the Lord said, always, whatever you speak is glorification of me. So a few more pages and can finish. By the Lord's order, Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, now presided over Sridhar's power of speech, and Sridhar began to glorify the Lord. All glory to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glory to Lord Vishwambar, the Lord of Navadip, all glory to the Lord of the entire cosmic manifestation, all glory to the Son of Mother Sachi Vishwambar, all glory to Lord Chaitanya, whose incarnation and activities are a mystery, even in the Vedas. He has appeared as the best of the Brahmins. Taking different forms, he appears in every millennium to uphold the religious principles. Secretly, he went about in Navadip town, managing and maintaining everything. Your real identity unknown to all. It is impossible for anyone to know your real self without your mercy. O Lord, you are the religious principles, the prescribed duties, devotional service, knowledge, the scriptures, the Vedas, and the object of all meditation. You are the mystic perfections, ever-increasing opulence, the enjoying spirit, the path of mystic yoga. You are faith in man, benevolence, illusion, and greed. You are Indra, the king of heaven, the moon, the fire, and water. You are the sun, the air, wealth, strength, devotion, and liberation. You are Lord Brahman, Lord Shiva. O Lord, you are without need of anything, as everything belongs to you. You told me earlier that the Mother Ganji said, I worship has emanated from your lotus feet. Yet due to my sinful heart, I could not recognize you. I had no realization of your supreme position. You are the same Supreme Personality who previously blessed Gokula with your appearance. Now you have again incarnated as the sweet Lord of Navadip. You are the embodiment of the highest esoteric process, that same devotional service you have propagated all over Navadip. By his devotional service, Bhishma defeated you in battle, making you break your promise. In the same way, Mother Yashoda bound you. By her desire and love for you, Satyabhama Devi could purchase you as Lord Krishna for her husband. Captivated by the love of your devotees, you carry the young cowherd boys upon your shoulders. All living beings of the entire creation carry and cherish the thought of you in their hearts, and yet you carried Sridham on your shoulders. It is a great secret and mystery how you are defeated by your devotees. Limitless millions of universes are manifested simply from your thoughts. Still, you personally carry the Gopa. Srila, You personally carry the Gopa Sridhar upon, still, limitless millions of universes are manifested simply from your thoughts. Still, you personally carry the Gopa Sridham upon your shoulders. Though unconquerable by even the most powerful of personalities, you are conquered by pure devotional service. This is the greatest secret, a secret the unfortunate fallen people of this world do not understand. The unmotivated devotional service of your loving servitors always defeats you. Then, having conquered you, such devotional service enters within you and secretly hides as the greatest of treasures. Material illusion cannot touch those engaged in your loving devotional service. Your devotees, by their service, easily crush material illusion into dust, which becomes blown away by the wind as they dance in ecstatic kirtan. See, all the three worlds beg for your loving devotional service. Hearing their sincere cries for your devotional service, the devotees conquer your unlimitedly merciful heart 2 and 4 times over. You become their captive as you hear their entreaties for pure devotion unto your lotus feet. Upon hearing Shri Saraswati Devi, the goddess of speech, speak these nectarian words through the mouth of Sridhar, all the Vaishnavas became filled with wonder. Then Lord Chaitanya said, Sridhar, ask for a boon. Today I shall give you the 8 mystic powers. They are now tightly in your grip. Sridhar answered, Lord, what will I trade from you? Please do not insist, and be peaceful at heart. There is nothing I require. The Lord replied, look, do you see I am unhappy? However, surely I wish to give you a boon. Speak out whatever is in your heart. Ask. Repeatedly, Lord Chaitanya entreated his pure devotee. Eventually, to please his Lord, Sridhar spoke, then Lord, give me just one boon. May the enchanting Brahmin boy who argued and gave coins for my banana leaves be my Lord and Master, birth after birth. Huh? May the young restless Brahmin who quarreled fiercely with me about the price of my supplies be my master. May he give me his lotus feet as my only treasure. Repeatedly offering these words of glorification, Sridhar became absorbed in transcendental love. Ecstatically raising his arms, his eyes flooded with tears, and he loudly wept. As Sridhar's depth of devotion manifested, the assembled Vaishnavas were similarly overcome with spiritual emotion and wept tears of transcendental ecstasy. Feeling great love for his eternal servitor, Lord Chaitanya smiled and said, Listen, O Sridhar, I shall make you the ruler of a great kingdom. I shall make you a king amongst men. Sridhar responded, I have not the slightest interest. I only wish that you be my eternal master, and I that may always sing, that I may always sing your name in unwavering devotion. Lord Chaitanya spoke with a voice made of nectar. Dear Sridhar, by your unalloyed devotion, you have made me your servant. Just see how I have now appeared before you in my Mahaprakash, anxious to fulfill any request. Therefore, I shall no longer dispute with you. I bestow upon you eternal pure devotional service, which is a secret even within the Vedas. From the circle of joyous Vaishnavas, tumultuous sounds arose. Everyone called out in bliss, Jai, 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 as they heard Sridhar receive the only boon desired by his pure heart. How may one recognize the true servant of Lord Chaitanya? Is it by his possessing wealth? Is it by many followers? Is it by material education? Temporary material education, wealth, beauty, fame, and noble family have no actual value. Moreover, they only tend to increase false pride and material illusion without limit. Yet Sridhar, who lived most simply by selling bananas and banana roots, by his pure devotion, was able to see the Supreme Lord before him, willing to fulfill his any request. The unlimited Supreme Lord, whom even millions of kings cannot see after millions of universal ages. False pride in material assets and an aversion to the pure devotional service of the Transcendental Lord only lead one to a life of material sense enjoyment. Thus one is quickly degraded to the terrible depths of material consciousness. May one then know one's fearful future. May one then know one's fearful future, a proud ignoramus who mocks the devotees of the merciful Lord, considering them fools or people suffering in impiety, surely goes to the hellish region known as Kumbhipaka. That is the inevitable punishment for his transgressions. Who has the ability to comprehend the unlimited glories of the Vaishnavas, at whose lotus feet all mystic perfections await to perform service? By their devotional service, the fruit of every austerity is easily available to them, and yet they are disinterested. Sridhar, the banana leaf seller, elegantly bears witness to this eternal truth. Avoiding the 8 mystic perfections, he asked for only pure, uninterrupted devotion to his dearmost Lord. If one should see a Vaishnava suffering, by worldly estimation, one should know that his suffering is not material, for the Vaishnava sees everything in the service of his Lord. Thus, such austerities actually become the source of spiritual bliss. Yet the fallen souls, blinded by the desire for material sense pleasure, can never comprehend this truth. In fact, the unfortunate souls who are mad with the desire for material education and material wealth cannot even recognize a Vaishnava. Similarly, persons who study and even pose as teachers of the Srimad Bhagavatam, but do not accept the loving devotional service of the magnanimous Lord, find their intelligence destroyed. In the same way, those envious rascals who blaspheme Lord Nityananda certainly walk the path of certain destruction. Glorifying his beloved Lord, Sridhar received his treasured boon. Anyone who hears the description of this pastime will attain the greatest treasure, pure love for the Supreme Lord. Those intelligent souls who avoid blasphemy of the saintly Vaishnavas attain Lord Krishna, receiving pure love and devotion for the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Blasphemy of the Vaishnavas only brings the greatest sin. Those pious souls who do not blaspheme the Vaishnavas and engage in the pure devotional service of the Lord certainly become very, very fortunate. Therefore, the true devotees of the Lord never offend anyone. If just once one calls out Krishna without offense, then certainly Krishna's sacred name easily delivers one. Thus, this is the absolute truth. This is the absolute truth. This is the absolute truth. My heart's desire at the sheltering, merciful lotus feet of the Vaishnavas is that Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Sri Nityananda eternally remain my masters, life after life. The 2 moons, Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Sri Nityananda, are my life and soul. I, Vrindaban Das, sing the glories of their lotus feet. Now we'll sing Hari Haraya. Oops. I put this microphone far away because then otherwise the cartels just all you can hear is clinging. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jaravaya Nama.
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yaravaya Nama.
Jaravaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama.
Yaravaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama.
Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan.
Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan.
Giridhari Gopinatha Madana Mohan
Giridhari Gopinatha Madana Mohan
Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra
Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra
Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhakta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Jai Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan Jai Te Vignana Shabishta Puran Jai Gosai Jar Mui Taradas Dasavara Padarenu Mora Panchagras Kader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas Janame Janame More Abhilas Jai Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindaban Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Maja Iyaman Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyan Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamodan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyan Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamodan Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama Rama, Hare Hare Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Haribo. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Haribo. Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Paravajaka Charyashta Tara Sadashishi Mad Srila Bhakti Nirmala Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Paravajaka Charyashta Tara Sadashishi Mad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Paravajaka Charyashta Tara Sadashishi Mad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Paravajaka Charya Ashtatara Sadashishi Mad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Barka Ki Jai. Namachari Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dash Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Prem Sigo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Vishvabarenya Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Ramayapur Ki Jai. Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Saparshada Shriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Shri Kuladvip Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Shri Soquel Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ashram Ki Jai. Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Vrindaban Dham Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Govardhan Shyam Kuna Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Jo Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees Ki Jai. Shri Vishaka Devi Dasi Ki Jai. Gaur Pramanand.
Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.